Introduction. We all experience those moments when minor irritations accumulate until they erupt into actions we later regret. Often, these are small troubles like a misplaced charger, someone eating your last piece of pizza, or a sibling borrowing your clothes without asking. Yet sometimes, these seemingly trivial grievances grow into feelings of revenge that push us beyond our usual boundaries. The petty grievance. We all experience those moments when small irritations in life gradually build up until they erupt into something we later wish we could undo. Often, these are insignificant annoyances, like a misplaced phone charger, someone eating your last slice of pizza, or a sibling borrowing your clothes without permission. Yet occasionally, these frustrations grow into something deeper, tempting us to imagine a way to retaliate, even if it means crossing boundaries. In my case, it was my brother and his relentless habit of pilfering my high-end shampoo. I realize it sounds trivial, but let me explain. At 15, after landing my first job, I finally had some disposable income. Like any teenager, I was exhilarated to treat myself. I indulged in clothing, shoes, and importantly, invested in premium beauty products. For the first time, I wasn't just using drugstore shampoo. I had splurged on expensive salon-quality brands that promised healthy, shiny hair. Those small victories felt empowering as I enjoyed things I once thought out of reach. Enter my brother. He was the type who seemed to think nothing of taking others' belongings. Whether he assumed everything in the house was communal or simply didn't care, I soon realized my luxury shampoo was fair game. My prized shampoo frequently vanished. At first, I assumed it was a one-off, but it kept happening. Sharing a bathroom with him meant he used my shampoo daily, leaving nothing but an empty bottle behind. It was maddening. After a long day, I'd look forward to a relaxing shower only to find my expensive shampoo depleted. My initial reaction combined anger and disbelief. Did he think I wouldn't notice? Or was he so indifferent? The waste of such precious shampoo made my blood boil, and each discovery heightened my frustration. I brought it up with my parents, hoping they'd intervene, but their advice was always the same. You should learn to share. Sharing wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to keep my special things for myself. It seemed like a reasonable desire, but no one understood that. That was the turning point when thoughts of revenge began to take shape. I started imagining ways to get back at him, ranging from simple confrontations to more elaborate plans. Yelling at him or hiding my shampoo felt insufficient. I craved something impactful that would make him regret touching my possessions. And then, I hit upon an idea that seemed harmless: hair removal cream. The plan for revenge. I started to hatch a plan for revenge, wanting something more impactful than just yelling or hiding my shampoo. It had to be a subtle but clear message that would make my brother regret touching my things. That's when I thought of hair removal cream, a product I'd heard about but never used myself. It seemed like the perfect harmless prank, a way to make his hair fall out temporarily without causing serious harm. So, one day when I knew he wouldn't be home, I bought a small bottle of the cream and carefully mixed it into my shampoo bottle, making sure it still looked and smelled the same. I told him firmly that this new shampoo was off limits, but unsurprisingly, he ignored my warning. I convinced myself it was just a prank, a way to teach him a lesson about respecting my belongings. I didn't expect to see the real consequences of my actions until it was already too late. Facing the consequences, confronting the aftermath. We often imagine revenge as a quick fix, something lighthearted or harmless that delivers a lesson without real fallout. But when I saw the actual impact of my actions on my brother, those fantasies shattered. His hair began thinning imperceptibly at first, but soon, noticeable bald. Watching him comb through those thinning patches, oblivious to the damage caused, triggered a deep, overwhelming regret. What I thought would be a trivial prank, just a way to teach him not to take my things, transformed into a painful reality. His condition wasn't something he could shake off. Eventually, Our mother took him to a doctor, and the diagnosis was alopecia, an autoimmune condition causing patchy hair loss. The diagnosis cemented the consequences of my spiteful act. He was prescribed a special shampoo with a harsh scent, which he faithfully used daily, believing it was the only safeguard against further hair loss. I stayed silent about my role in his condition, too scared and ashamed to admit the truth. Pretending I had no part in it was easier than facing my guilt. I hoped it would all fade with time, that the hair loss would be temporary, but it wasn't. Over 15 years later, the condition remains a persistent part of his life, a legacy of my impulsive revenge. Sometimes, I consider confessing the truth, telling him that his alopecia wasn't just an autoimmune disorder, but the unintended result of my petty retaliation. But the fear of causing him pain holds me back. My guilt remains a heavy burden I carry alone, while he goes on living with the consequences I never intended to impose. The unexpected encounter. As time went by, I often found myself reflecting on the choices I had made, especially that fateful moment when I plotted my brother's revenge. Years had passed, and the weight of my actions lingered heavily on my conscience. The thought of confessing the truth to him crossed my mind more times than I could count, revealing that his condition wasn't autoimmune, but the unintended fallout of my own pettiness. Yet, despite the burden of guilt, I remained silent. I feared confronting the past and the possible pain my admission could cause. It wasn't until much later, while navigating life's unpredictable turns, that an unexpected encounter brought these reflections sharply into focus. A reminder that even the smallest decisions can ripple through the years, shaping lives in profound ways. A different kind of revenge. I'm a 38-year-old man who recently filed for divorce after discovering my ex-wife, 32, was involved in an emotional affair with another man. Despite my efforts to stay amicable for the sake of our children, she began dating someone new shortly after our separation. It hurt deeply, not just because the divorce was fresh, but because it seemed she showed little remorse for what had happened. Her new boyfriend was only 21, and she frequently gushed about the things he did for her whenever he was around. I found myself wondering why I had to hear all this. Eventually, my patience ran out, and I decided to be petty and get some measure of revenge. Creating a fake social media account was surprisingly easy. I used pictures of a random attractive girl from the internet. Sorry to her, but I needed this to work, and added some random people to make the profile appear legitimate. I added her new boyfriend and began messaging him subtly, pretending to get to know him. To my surprise, and perhaps his, he quickly became flirty. I even sent him some suggestive pictures, ones that showed cleavage but kept the face hidden to make it seem like they belonged to the fake profile. About 2 weeks into our conversation, he brought up meeting up for sex. I played along, setting a day and time to meet at a local hotel. The next day, I drove to the hotel without intending to confront him, just to capture proof. Sure enough, he showed up, pacing nervously. I took photos and waited for him to leave. As he grew more desperate, he bombarded the fake profile with messages, calling me names and demanding to know where I was before eventually giving up. I had saved every message, photo, and the pictures from the hotel meetup. I then sent everything to my ex-wife, using the fake profile to expose her boyfriend's infidelity. Unsurprisingly, she flooded the fake account with angry messages, proclaiming that I was lying and that her boyfriend would never do such a thing. Her reaction made me laugh. After a couple of days, she stopped contacting the fake profile. I noticed her social media became full of posts about the lack of faithful men and how she only needed her kids, which is ironic since she hadn't seen our children or even reached out to ask how they were doing. She did visit the kids a day later, looking exactly how you'd expect someone who just broke up with their partner to look. For a brief moment, I felt guilty, but it quickly passed. Eventually, she told me that someone had sent her messages about her boyfriend's infidelity, and after confronting him, he denied it until shown the exact conversations I had sent. She broke up with him on the spot, and even told his friends and family, who were furious with him. Honestly, he deserved it, even if I was the one who set him up. The twist? My ex-wife apologized to me. This entire ordeal seemed to hit her hard, making her realize the pain she caused. She admitted she had a problem, a compulsive need for attention from anyone who would give it, despite the love and attention I had given her over 10 years. Was what I did wrong? Sure it was. Petty too. Do I regret it? Only a little, mainly because I used someone else's pictures without permission. But by doing all this, I exposed a potential cheater and got my ex-wife to seek counseling for her issues. In some strange way, it set things on a better course. Will I get back together with her if she improves? No way. The fake account and all messages have been deleted. I definitely won't do something like that again. It made me feel pretty creepy, but I do feel some relief now. To clarify, I wasn't upset that she started dating again. I expected that. The real issue was her repeatedly crossing boundaries we had agreed upon after the divorce, like not telling me about her new relationships, especially since our children were involved. Everyone has a breaking point, and I own my actions. Seeing her get help is good, and I hope she can work through her problems. As for me, I'm done being treated badly and am determined to never let anyone disrespect me like that again. Regrets and reflection. Regrets and reflection. There are moments in life when we cross personal boundaries, sometimes knowingly, other times without fully grasping the consequences. These breaches can lead us down unexpected paths of realization about ourselves and our relationships. For example, when petty feelings of jealousy or hurt push us toward actions that we later question, it forces us to confront our own values and the costs of vengeance. In one story, a man felt deeply wounded when his ex-wife swiftly moved on shortly after their divorce. His initial reaction was to seek petty revenge by creating a fake online identity to expose her new boyfriend's unfaithfulness. While the act was driven by pain and resentment, it ultimately led to an unexpected outcome: his ex-wife admitting to a problematic need for attention and seeking professional help. This experience opened a door for reflection on boundaries, trust, and the complexities in their relationship. It revealed how acts of retaliation might sometimes uncover deeper issues that require healing rather than punishment. Reflecting on such experiences highlights the delicate balance between standing up for oneself and holding on to bitterness. It teaches us that while revenge might seem satisfying in the short term, it is often overshadowed by guilt, regret, and the realization that damage done to others can sometimes ripple back, affecting our own peace of mind. Recognizing these patterns encourages us to foster empathy, communicate honestly, and build healthier connections, steering clear of unnecessary pain triggered by unresolved grievances. A troubling story. A heartbreaking tale. Losing my daughter to a swift and aggressive cancer was an unimaginable ordeal. She was just 15 when she chose not to undergo treatment, and within 4 short months, her health sharply declined until she passed away. This devastating loss plunged my family into darkness. My husband descended into severe alcoholism and drug abuse, masking his pain with pills and vodka. I too sank into a deep depression, as did my son. Watching the sweetest child slip away was a horror that no mother should endure. My husband's addiction spiraled uncontrollably. He consumed a $20 bottle of vodka daily, often disappearing into the night for hours. Despite my son and my own attempts to intervene, my overwhelming sorrow left me emotionally drained and isolated, like a zombie trapped within my own grief. Eventually, my husband died alone in our basement bathroom, succumbing to a fatal mix of alcohol, Xanax, and Tramadol. We only discovered the extent of his dependency after his death, when we found his hidden stash. His passing came just months after our daughter's death, and while I briefly emerged from my mourning, depression soon returned. My son's despair deepened as well. His academic performance crumbled, college rejections piled up, and he gained over 100 pounds in the year following his father's death. Our once lively household became a silent, sorrowful space. I spent countless days unable to get out of bed, while he retreated to his room, lost in video games and seclusion. Though I recognized his pain and sought therapy for him, my own darkness sapped my strength, and eventually, we both gave up on one another. In the 2 months before we barely spoke, the distance between us seemed insurmountable. Our large home and separate rooms made it easy to avoid each other. Then, one day, he attempted to end his life by jumping off a nearby bridge. Miraculously, he survived, breaking a foot and suffering some minor injuries. Standing at the spot he leapt from, I was overwhelmed with a fierce wave of guilt. How did he manage to survive such a fall? Since that day, the weight of my remorse has been crushing me. For him and for my husband too. I feel as though I failed them both by neglecting their needs. I was selfish, isolating myself instead of being present and supportive. Losing my daughter was beyond our control, but these personal tragedies involve choices shaped by my influence as a mother and wife. The realization haunts me. My absence impacted their decisions far more than I ever realized. I want to help my son now more than ever, but I don't know where to begin. He seems to resist my efforts, perhaps because of the distance I allowed to grow between us. I live in constant fear. Will this have been his last attempt? Or is there another looming? Though I'm awake to my role and more aware than before, this awareness battles with the persistent darkness that has gripped me for the past 2 years. The struggle to fight it feels overwhelming. Seeking forgiveness. Seeking forgiveness. A mother reflects deeply on the overwhelming guilt she carries after her son attempted to take his own life. The tragedy follows the loss of her daughter to a rapidly progressing cancer, one her daughter chose not to treat, and the subsequent decline of her husband into severe alcohol and drug addiction. The family unit unraveled quickly. The daughter's passing was swift and painful. The father's substance abuse became relentless, and depression consumed both mother and son. Throughout this harrowing time, the mother isolated herself in a fog of despair, unable to provide the emotional support her family desperately needed. Despite attempts to help her son by encouraging therapy, her own struggles left her drained and ultimately gave way to mutual withdrawal between them. The physical and emotional distance grew, until the day her son tried to end his life by leaping from a bridge, an act that left him severely injured but alive. Now, she is haunted by the weight of responsibility, blaming herself for not being more attentive, more insistent on her husband's sobriety, and more present emotionally for her children. She acknowledges the uncontrollable nature of her daughter's illness, but recognizes that the choices made within the family were influenced, in part, by her own absence. Wrestling with her remorse, she desperately seeks a way to mend the fractured relationship with her son and fears what the future may hold once he recovers. Though she has awakened from her long depression, she admits that recovery is an ongoing battle. Each day presents the challenge of fighting the lingering darkness and striving to be the support her family needs. The path toward healing is uncertain, but her resolve to help her son find his way back from despair is steadfast, born from a deep and painful place of love and regret. Conclusion. These shared experiences reveal how seemingly trivial irritations can escalate into deep-seated regrets. They serve as powerful reminders of the importance of considering the consequences of our actions and highlight the vital role that nurturing healthy relationships plays in our lives. Through reflection and understanding, we are encouraged to choose empathy over retaliation and to seek healing rather than harboring resentment. Call to action. If these stories resonate with you or offer new perspectives, please consider subscribing and liking this content. Share your own experiences or thoughts in the comments to help us all understand the impact of our choices better. Together, we can raise awareness about how even small actions can have lasting effects on ourselves and those around us.